Fabulous friends of Swift, it's Professor John Gallagher. In this lesson, we are going to learn to cut down on our repeated code by learning how to use the ForEach statement in SwiftUI to use a single block of code multiple times while iterating through our enum. I've got big learning for each of you. See what I did there? Let's code! Now, as of our last lesson, we have a functioning Dungeon Dice app. We can click each button and get a random value simulating a dice roll. Now, we could say we're done, but we're on a journey to become a professional developer and write higher quality code. And we can see that there's lots of repeated code in here. This violates our DRY, our dry principle, don't repeat yourself. Now you might wonder, is there a way to create an array with values for all 7 dice and iterate through that array, creating a single button for each array element so we don't have to repeat ourselves? And as they say in Italian, certo, which means of course. Now first, so I don't get confused when working on my new code, I'm going to fold the code for the VStack that contains all of my buttons. I'm going to highlight this, command/ to comment it out. When I do, Xcode unfolds the code, but I'm sure now that I've commented out all of the code with buttons inside of it. Now before we work with buttons, let's start with something less complex. How about a simple text field with a string inside? So let's create an array of strings with each string containing the name of one of our Dungeons & Dragons players. And then we'll use this array to create a text field for each of the players. So why don't we head to the top where we usually create our state variables, and since we're not going to change these values, we can create them as a constant, so we'll say private let players equals, and then in the brackets I'll put in the names of the Stranger Things kids that play D&D. So L, Mike, Will, Lucas, Sam, and Dustin. There are more, but this is enough. Now down in our code, below our last spacer, we know that we can create text views for each array in an element like this. Text, passing in between the parentheses, player 1, bracket 0, bracket. Then I'll copy this, paste this a few more times. I can change the numbers to 1 and 2, and we can see that we've got 3 text views for L, Mike, and Will. And just so that it's easier to read, because it's kind of small here, I'm going to put these 3 text views inside of a group. So highlight them, type open curly, Xcode indents, and I'll type the word group in front. And then at the end of the group, I'll add a font large title modifier. Easier to see. Now at this point, you might think, well, I'm coding in Swift, and I know how to use the for loop, so why don't I just use one here? So why don't we try at the top of the group, for player in players, curly braces, and in between the curlies, text, passing in player. I'll delete these unneeded text views. But no, says Xcode. We get an error, closure containing control flow statement cannot be used with result builder view builder. Now this is Xcode saying you can't use a for loop here in SwiftUI. So it's worth taking a second to focus in on this. It trips up a lot of new SwiftUI students. So in SwiftUI, the body is built by something called a view builder. This means that the code inside the body's curly braces isn't just normal Swift, it's expected to produce views. So even if you put views inside of a regular for loop, the for loop itself is a statement. It runs code, but it's not guaranteed to produce a view, so it can't be used to build the layout, even if you put views inside the for loop. So here's what can go inside the body. Views like text, button, VStack, and spacer, containers like group, conditionals like if else and switch case where every path produces a view, helper functions or computed properties that return a view, and local values like let constants that you use to configure your UI. Now what can't go in there to build the layouts are raw for, while, repeat loops, or other statements that don't produce a view. And remember, if you need additional calculations, and we do need that sometimes, you can do that work inside of views actions like the curly braces inside of button actions, so it's okay to put Swift statements in there, or you can call a function that returns a value you pass into a view as a parameter. We usually define those functions outside the view body, don't put them inside the body's curlies. But fear not, SwiftUI comes with a special statement for each. This is a special structure that can be used to iterate through values inside of a view, and we can use this to create subviews. So let's give this a try. First, we're going to delete this non-working loop. That code won't work inside of our view. And then we're going to say for each. Now this is upper camel case. For each is a type. Specifically, it's a struct. It's actually a view as well. And we see in code completion there are a whole bunch of options that accept the same number of parameter values with the same names. If you use the arrow keys to move through them, you'll see some are designed for ranges. There's an int one in here. But as we learned earlier, it doesn't matter which one you select. If a function definition has the same parameters and it just takes different types for the parameters, Xcode, or actually what's called the compiler, will figure that out as it creates the code to run on your device. So feel free to select any of these that show the data and the content. Those are the 2 input parameters we want. Press return. We are going to run into a problem when we select this, but this is going to be an important step in our learning. So for this first parameter, the way ForEach works is you enter the value that you want to iterate through. So in this particular case, we want to iterate through the array players, so we'll add players in here. So far, this is correct. Then I'll tab over to content, so I'm going to press return and get that trailing closure format that developers like so much. And we see that we have a value that we pass into this closure. We can give this element any name we'd like that's a valid name, but since we're iterating through an array called players, why don't we just call this player singular? And then in between the curlies, I'm going to write my text view statement. In parens, I'm going to pass in player, and now I get this error that says ForEach requires that string conform to identifiable. Now what that means, and the problem here, is that if we're creating multiple views, SwiftUI has no way to tell one view from another. And this is really important, especially if we need to work with just one of the many views that we're about to create. So what conforming to identifiable means is we also need to create a unique ID that SwiftUI can use to identify one view from the other when we create them with ForEach. Now SwiftUI actually calls this value ID, and here's how we can quickly add this. So after the value parameter up here that we're iterating through, in our example it's the players array, enter a comma, and then we'll add another parameter. It's called ID, and notice as you start to type this, Xcode will offer to add ID since it's an accepted parameter for the ForEach statement. I'll accept this, and we'll eventually learn to create structures that have unique IDs automatically created inside them. We don't have that yet, so right now what we're going to do is we're going to enter \self in lowercase. And again, more weird syntax with SwiftUI, but after you type this a few times, you'll get used to it. Now this simply tells SwiftUI, hey, it's okay to treat the individual elements of the array, that's the self part, as uniquely identifiable, so you can treat them like an ID. And gadzooks, my friends, will you look at that? We've now got a text view for each element in our players array. Nice! Now I do want to give you a warning about using the \self as an identifier. You absolutely do not want to do this if you're not sure that you're going to have unique values in the array or whatever else you're iterating through. And we can show this by pressing play and running this in the simulator. So first make sure that you've got a device selected in the scheme, then I'll press play, build and run, hammer time. We've got our funky launch screen, but the thing I want to point out is if you look in the debug navigator, we see that there are no warnings. There's nothing in the console. But now I'm going to head back up to the players array, and let's imagine a bunch of buddies move into the neighborhood and they want to play D&D too. And what a coincidence. Some of these new friends have the same names as our classic buddies. So we'll add another Mike, another Sam, and another Will, very common names. Now press play and build and run, and ho-ho! We don't just get one warning down here in the console, we get 3. That's because we have 3 repeated values and we're trying to use those values as unique IDs. Xcode gives us the warning. It says ID appears multiple times in the collection. This could give undefined results. So don't use the \self. If you have values that might repeat, don't fret. We'll learn how to fix this in a future lesson. So I use the names of the buddies and repeated names just to illustrate the issue with repeated values. Now we don't need the players array anymore, so we can delete this. We want to work with buttons. And fortunately, the dice that we're dealing with are each unique, so we won't have this problem. Let's create an array to hold our dice types like this. Private let, and we'll call this array dice types, setting this equal to, in between square brackets, an array of ints 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20, and 100. And then let's change our ForEach statement down here. So we're not going to iterate through players anymore. We're going to iterate through dice types. We'll pass in a value named dice type singular. And I don't want to show a text view. I want a button. So I'm going to highlight and copy the 3 commented out button lines down here, paste them over this text view with the error in it, highlight these 3 commented out values, command / to undo the comments. Control I will fix the indentations. And I don't want them all to say 4-sided. I want them to say string interp, dice type, -sided, and the sides I'm going to pass into the roll die function are also going to be dice type. My preview's still paused from the simulator run, so I'll click on the resume swirl. Look at that, we see 7 generic buttons in a vertical stack. Let me grab these 3 modifiers that were at the end of the VStack that I used to modify the buttons. I'll paste them over this font modifier. Highlight, command / and control I to remove the comments and indent. And oh, look at that. With ForEach, we're now using just 1 button view to create all 7 buttons. Nice. I can get rid of the comments that have all of that extra code that I don't need anymore. Everything's working. I can also get rid of this group clause. I don't need that anymore either. I left it in here. We're going to get rid of it in a future lesson. But if we compare the work that we've done, we went from 34 lines of code to just 8 lines of code plus 1 more to declare the array to iterate through. And only 1 button view declared. There's a Japanese beer called Super Dry, and a certain clothing store where the cool kids shop. Super Dry also describes your code because you did not repeat yourself. Excellent work, Swifter! Now we still need to get these buttons to cascade in a grid from upper left to lower right. In the next lesson, we're going to learn about lazy stacks and lazy grids, and then we'll be able to apply this to get a grid of buttons organized in rows and columns. But I hope you feel comfortable using the ForEach statement. There was lots of big learning in this lesson, and there's more big learning ahead. Keep hacking!